Good evening. I am Kelly, aka Jack Dalton from And She's Creation. That's my business, and She's Creation. And I've come to talk to you this evening a little bit about what I do, but a very important specific card that I know some of you need to hear. I needed to hear it so much I probably got it 3 times in the past days. And it's also a newer deck to me, but I think it's going to be one of my primary reading decks because it really goes deep into sorrow, pain, and healing, and the shadow self, which is something a lot of us need, especially going through some of these very tough times. We won't go into that. But to start it, to go into it, this is from the Oracle, the Vampire Fae. I live here in New Orleans. If you know anything about New Orleans, vampires are definitely part of this history. And I am both light and dark. My wand that you just saw is actually called Love and Light. There's a little piece of dark in there though, because I can't deny some of what I am. And I enjoy both sides. And if someone told you you got to be one or the other, they're absolutely wrong. That's way too hard. And also, you're missing out on a lot of fun. No one is born here to be completely good. And, well, we won't go into completely bad because that's another side of the story. But I'm going to be talking to you tonight about this particular card. It's called Not a Sinner. And then also maybe some or a couple of my relationships and my experiences. So this is the card to start. As a shaman, I read oracle cards. I also go into numerology, not that you can really see the number on there, but it's number 29. And this card is really about letting go of things that don't belong to you. Things that may have been assigned to you in situations and especially relationships, things that made you feel ashamed or unworthy. To start, it says, stop feeling ashamed. Internalized beliefs about unworthiness have got to go. Recognize and banish toxic programming. Cast off the yoke of embarrassment. I'll read further into that in a little bit, but to go into some of what it's talking about and to relate it to my relationships. I have a soulmate I've spoken about in different videos that I posted on my And She's Creation Instagram and Facebook page. And this was my first relationship. I want to say we're probably known this person about 24 years. I met them when I was working at Home Depot. He was actually in a relationship. And me being the helpful person that I am, I was trying to get him to fix things with his girlfriend at the time, which didn't work out. And we actually ended up falling for each other. I do believe he's a soulmate. I was not exactly happy about falling for someone who was already taken. It definitely turned into a tumultuous situation over the 5.5 years that we were seeing each other while we were working at Home Depot. Um, while we were in that relationship, things just never worked out and things didn't sync up correctly. But we were definitely known by a lot of people for what we went through. And then we also had a lot of people trying to either get at us to be with us or trying to sabotage things. In that relationship, I unfortunately was made to feel in different ways unworthy. It's not that he tried to put me down or anything because he never has. But I just was never ever put in the position that I should have been, which was number one. And I accepted that for a very long time. Um, it was so difficult that at the end of it, I had people coming up and saying, "Hey, I'm happy you're out of that relationship," because I didn't really like the person. I didn't like what it did to you. Not that they didn't like me. I didn't like what it did to you because they saw my energy and even the love that I carry just dissipate. Um, Even when I tried to introduce him to my loved ones throughout the years, those things never worked out. These are important things to pay attention, by the way. Like if you're in a situation and you want the approval of your family and friends, who doesn't? And things just don't work out, timelines don't link up. That's the universe trying to tell you, hey, this is probably not going to work out. And I also had to take a look at that relationship and then the relationships that occurred after it because I continued to chase some of the same type of situations where I just would choose people who were either emotionally unavailable or could just never give me the correct time or the correct devotion. Or, like I said, they would never make me number one. And eventually I had to figure out where the base of those wants came from. And unfortunately, I was able to tie it back to my father. A lot of our toxic relationship patterns come from our upbringing and the things that we witness. If you know anything about my father or what I've explained, I love him. Rest in power. But he was called Mr. International around the neighborhood for a reason. And his split with my mother was absolutely tumultuous. It was horrendous. I was 4 years old with someone we don't refer to as a family anymore, but his mother knocking at our door around 2 in the morning, yelling Ivory, and him basically dismissing himself from our family life at that time, saying, "Hey, I love you, I'll always be in it." But he went and built an entirely separate life. And it's not that I didn't get to see him, but both my brother Chris and I, we got limited time with him. We got weekend days. Sometimes, I mean, rarely would we see him on the weekday. He chose other families. I have two brothers I absolutely love, and then an older half brother, and I love him too. But the time was split between them, and then eventually the time was split between his partner, who had 6 children, and it was so extremely painful in our funeral. And I'm not going to go too much into this because I do want to do something else on this subject I'm referring to. But it was so painful to hear about these 6 children talk about their memories with our father that we didn't get. So back to the point of all of this, he was emotionally unavailable in a lot of ways. He was a lover, but he was also emotionally available in a lot of ways. And his patterns were toxic. And on the opposite end, what I witnessed was my mother saying no to relationships, saying, I don't need this in my life. I can just, my children are my life. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And that definitely made me very strong and independent. I'm going to go back into this card and to more of what it says. Internalized beliefs about unworthiness have got to go. Recognize and banish toxic programming. Cast off the yoke of embarrassment. I repeat that because I understand that my voice is also very powerful. It is okay to close your eyes and to listen to what I have to say, as opposed to paying attention to the video that I'm putting here visually. My voice is a gift, and it took me a long time to even accept that, especially as a kid, because it was rather deep. Here we go. We, the vampire fae, were present in the false meanings of sin and sinfulness. First cast their ugly pall over your culture. We witnessed these messages twisting and subverting simple pleasures, further disenfranchising and also disenfranchised, and siphoning away your joy and your delight. In fact, it was around this time we chose to intervene. After all, we punished those who would otherwise go unpunished. The men who betrayed us or abused their mortal wives, daughters, and sisters. And let me stop right there. This doesn't just apply to women, this also applies to men. This also applies to non-binary. It applies to all human beings who are not in the correct relationship and who are not being appreciated. Are you being abused? Are you being used? Are you being given what you deserve? These are questions you have to ask yourself, no matter how painful they are to answer. And if you can't answer it, ask someone you love and look to the truth, because if they love you, they're going to tell you the truth. The less power we perceived you to possess, the more we attempted to reach such grievous wrongs. We want you to see that you are holding a false belief that you are fundamentally incomplete and flawed. It is possible that someone is underscoring this message to keep you in their thrall. A partner may be undermining your self-worth. An authority figure may be manipulating you. A spiritual group may be insisting that you need them for the sake of your soul. So this card doesn't just relate to relationships with your loved ones, like with your partner. This card, it relates to all relationships. Do you have a toxic relationship with a family member, with a friend, with a boss? It is all encompassing. You may be operating under internalized, disempowered paradigm that you learned from your family or your culture. Examine your consciousness. Look deeply at any explicit teachings or implicit assumptions that actively diminish and call into question your intrinsic worth. You are entitled to freedom and you deserve to flourish. Even if you believe you have made a legitimate mistake, be kind, be forgiving, be compassionate with yourself. Be kind, be forgiving, and be compassionate with yourself. You deserve these things. You don't have to ask for them, you deserve them. You are entitled to freedom to flourish. Everyone struggles, everyone blunders, everyone is learning as they go. Detect and reject old stories that cast you in a light of shame. Let go of shame. It's useless. It's like guilt. You can't turn back the clocks. You can't live your life on the other side if you pass away. There are no time machines. So all you're doing, unfortunately, is wasting your precious time. Gather up your dignity, refuse to accept cultish programming or toxic relationship dynamics, and know that you are entitled to thrive. You are absolutely entitled to thrive. You are entitled to happiness. You are entitled to love. You are entitled to partnership. I am entitled to partnership. So to go back into some of that relationship, like I recently even had a dream, and it relates to this card. I kept getting this card. I am not a sinner. What do I need to let go? If you saw my post maybe a few weeks ago, you also may have seen that I did like a full spell to release three individuals from my life. One of them is this individual I'm talking about that's been in there about 24 years. Another one's been in there for about 12 years. And the other one is recent. He's recent to this town. I released all three of these individuals in a very large spell. Um, I do I do believe in that belief. It's the Japanese belief of the red string that ties us. So that's something that I also use in my spells. But I understand how serious it is when you need to do something like a cord cutting. That's basically what I did. I did a cord cutting with these particular souls, stating, not only am I done with you, but I'm taking my energy back. And I did notify at least two of them, but the other one, he has enough common sense. He's an only child. He's spoiled. He refers to himself in the third person. I don't need to explain anything. He should know at this point what he's done wrong, and he's had more than enough opportunities to be a man and to support me. And unfortunately, he wasn't even there for me when my father passed away. Um, Long story, but we won't go into it. So anyway, back to this. I had a dream, and this card kept coming up, and the dream was this first ex, this soulmate, 24 years. And in this dream, I had like a full book, a full notepad of stuff that he'd written. It was like poems and other things, because he was definitely a poet, and he'd written it and he'd given it to me. And I was like, why am I having this dream? I've already given him that stuff back. And they were like, you need to also mention this because it's very important. If you choose to disconnect with someone, give them their shit back. Do not keep it. That is energy in your place, those photos, those poems, those songs, and whatever else. You can enjoy the music later once you disconnect and come back. But those are emotional ties and they're energetic ties, and they will toxify your environment. They will also call you back. Um, in this dream, I kind of was like, well, I'm not done with it, but I was done with it. And really, what it is his current wife, because this is his second wife, decided to come get the stuff. And I was like, no, he needs to come get it. Because when I'm done, I'm done. And I need you to know that I'm done. And it takes me a lot to show my face, and then also to use my voice. It's very painful, but I will do it. And it's nothing you want to see because I'm an Aries, so it's another story. But do not keep that shit. Don't necessarily burn it and throw it in a river. Give it back to them. Let them deal with the emotional torment of it because it is going to be eventual emotional torment. I gave this person back his poems the first time he broke my heart. Um, Maybe about 6 months into our dealings or something like that when we were working at Home Depot. And he thanked me for them. He's like, oh, thank you so much. They were mixed CDs that he made me. They were poems, but I recognized really early on, I don't need to keep this shit because you're obviously not serious about what I need you to be serious about. And to fast forward all these years later, my dismissal to him, um, I want to say it was not January of this past year, but January of 2024. I was drinking some red wine. I was watching a very old show. I don't know if you know what it is, but Red Shoe Diaries and some other stuff. And that's really when it clicked in about my toxic patterns. So I was like, look at all these unavailable emotional man. Where did this come from? And I checked into him. He'd been love bombing me for like a couple of months, even talking about coming here to New Orleans. And he talked about he'd love to see me. He had to be seeing the person that he's married to now and not saying anything about it. And I let him have it. And then we fast forward again to like maybe middle of last year, and I contacted him. I said, "Hey, I'm sorry," because it's very important for me to recognize my toxic habits too. We all have a part in what is going on. If you continue to accept things, if you continue to say yes, that is also on you. It is not just on the person who is using you and abusing you. You got to put your foot down and say no. That's your responsibility for your health and for your divine love of yourself. So I was like, what part did I have in this? I need this cycle to be complete. So I reached out and said, hey, I'm sorry for the way that I went about things. And I said, it has to, I admitted it went back to my dad. And I said, some of that stuff was not yours to carry. And he kind of acted like he didn't read the message. I know he got it. I don't really care. But then we proceeded on, and then we got into that reminiscing phase again. Because he and I had words. We had the love language of words and music. And it's very deep. And I've only met a couple people like that in my life, but they're not partners of mine and they're not love interests. So that was a fear too. Like, am I ever going to find someone who will be able to give me this type of love that I really need, I desire? I'm a mental person, and it's going to come your body after that, the physical stuff. But I need to have that mental connection with you. And so we just proceeded on, and my ancestors were like, hey, you're going to need to open up your mouth and ask him if he's seeing someone. So sure enough, I said, hey, are you seeing someone? And that's when he admitted that he's married. And I was like, so you sitting here reminiscing with me. This is, in my opinion, my own personal opinion, that is emotional cheating. You need to let your exes go. You need to not be in their lives. You cannot be reminiscing with them and then using the old same love language that you were using if you are in a committed relationship. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And then recently, like I said, I messaged him, I reached out and I said, hey, um, almost word for word, something along the lines of, I need to let this go. I'm going to end communication. You are married and you have now chosen multiple people over me and been married twice when I have kept the door open for you in case something could happen because I was willing to travel for him. In fact, he even made an offer to bring me out to where he was living and then just decided to not follow through with that. And that was like about 3 years ago. Another fine example of him failing again. You cannot just continue on giving these people chances when they keep failing you over and over and over. You can, but you're wasting your life. And also, what you're doing is you're missing opportunities with people who may want the chance to give you exactly what you need and what you desire. It's very important to have what you need and what you desire in a relationship. And you might be missing all these opportunities with other soulmates. You have more than one if you need more than one. If you close the door, another one will come. There are billions of people on this planet. Half of us even look alike in different skin colors and forms. So you got plenty of options. Don't get it twisted. So aside from that, you also need to not be afraid of taking a physical break. I have taken a 6-year celibacy break. I've also taken a 2 to 3 year, I don't know how long it was, I stopped keeping track, but I have shut that portion of my body down. Not in vain. I just stated to myself, hey, no one gets physical access to this sanctuary if you don't deserve it. And also, I need time to just digest everything that's gone on. Now, of course, in my 6 year celibacy break, I lost my brother, I lost my mother, my uncle, my grandfather, and then my dad later on started getting sick, and that's where the 2 to 3 year break started once again until I got here. But that's whatever; it's no one worthy. Nice guy, so. But that being said, you have to be able to take the space and the time to take a breath Because when you take a breath, when you take a pause for yourself, when you go connect with nature, when you meditate, when you take baths, when you connect with friends and family you haven't seen in a while because you probably put them on the back burner, those are when those moments of clarity come. But it's very hard for you to get those moments of clarity. It's very hard for you to get the moments and the messages from your guides, your ancestors, your spirit guides, your guardian angels, if you're just constantly in that toxic situation. It's like a bunch of thick static, and nothing can get through here until you take the break so it can open up and come down into basically your crown chakra, into your consciousness, so you can receive what you need to receive. And you can say, oh, wow, I didn't deserve that shit. And what do I deserve? What else did I want to discuss? Hmm. Yeah. Also, who to ask for help. As I mentioned, you have plenty of options. You've got family, you've got friends, you've got healers, you've got people like me. There are tarot readers. There's thousands of them in this town. Um, I read oracle cards. I am not a tarot person, but I will do a tarot reading in my own format if you need it. But I'm a shaman. That is entirely separate from a card reader. I help people, like we're talking about, break old habits and patterns. I help you take a moment and take a breath, and I help you develop a full system for yourself. I help you receive messages. I connect things to numerology and your spirit guides so you don't question anything like, is this really happening? I can't believe this is happening. I'll give you numbers. I'll give you messages. I'll give you words. I'll give you actual physical things to do to open up your energy so you can receive what you deserve in this life, but also so you can figure out what your mission is, what your own personal legend is written in the book, The Alchemist. Thank you to my lovely medicine woman and best friend Paula for that book. It really helped me recently come back to my own personal legend, which is one of the reasons I moved here to New Orleans, because I came here to be a healer. I came here to continue the work that I started in Arizona. Thank you so much to all of my Arizona clients. I love you. You really helped me get my start. But in order to do that, I had to leave everything that I knew all the way back to California. And that was once again after my mother and everyone passed except for my father and then the other side of the family. It is not very easy to pick up everything and then go. Now, luckily, I had my sister Missy there to welcome me with open arms. Sometimes you also need to do what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to leave everything you know so you can find out what you will know and what you do deserve. You have to be willing to do these things for yourself because it's love. And if you want to bring children into this world, you want to raise pets, you want to do things to help people, these things are a mirror of your internal self. So if you're suffering on the inside, your passions are not going to come out on the outside. Your desires will not be fulfilled because you are boggled down. So do not be afraid to take the steps that you need. It was very hard for me to do the spell act that I did for these three individuals. Like I said, I've known a couple of them for years and years, but I had to do what I had to do for myself. Not to mention, I'm trying to call in the love that I deserve. I've done a separate couple of spells to call in the man, the person that I deserve, that I know I desire, that wants to put me as number one, that doesn't see me as an option or a wild ride, because I am, a little wild, but I'm also very grounded and I know what I want in this life and I will get it. And you should have it too. So to wrap this up, thank you so much for listening. Once again, my name is Kelly Dalton. I am aka Shaman Jack of And She's Creations. I have plenty of types of services. My Facebook, excuse me, my website is And She's Creation, not plural, .net. That's And She's Creation.net. I have a services page with plenty of my services. I do virtual, and then I also do in-person sessions, and then I also do text and emailed sessions. I'm pretty open for all that. But to wrap this up, I also got this other card, and I was like, why am I getting this card? Because I've released a lot of things that it was talking about, but once again, they were like, you just got to share this in your Zoom in this video. And this is from the Isis Oracle from a lot of Fairchild. And I'm just going to read kind of the end of what it says here. And this is just a little saying. Once again, feel free to close your eyes and focus on the words that I'm talking about. This card is actually called the Temple of Black Obsidian. There's a full exercise in there. When I do post this video on my socials, I will also share both of these cards and the books. But it's called the Dark Healing Chamber, and it's obsidian. Obsidian is a very powerful healer. I can transmute energy. Shamans use it a lot. It's her protection stone. So here's what it says. In fact, don't even focus on me. Just focus on the words. I call upon the temple of obsidian black. I call on the love of Isis so strong, stronger than any judgment or attack. It heals and makes whole any past wrong. I now choose to see the truth of my being whole. I see how in this pain I played a role. I choose to let pain of judgment be released. I choose to love and accept with deep peace. Transformation and healing now come to me. I love all parts of my being, infinite and free. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for your very precious and valuable time. I love you. I'm here for you. And I hope this helps you heal. Ashe.